Over here to an awesome artist at OhanaCon, at Ohana, a Pacific Comic Con here.
How you doing?
Hi, and who are you?
My name is Branden Sanderson.
All right, Branden.
So I'm working on something that I have no chance of finishing before the end of the day.
And this is some of your work.
Yeah, this is my own comic that I actually created that I write in Illustrator.
Wow. When you design something like this, do you lay it out in a chart or something?
The way I approach it, the story I've just worked on for years. And so when
years meaning a year or two, what?
No, since high school, like over 20 years, I've had this idea of rattling around in my head. And the characters and everything else. And when I decided I wanted to put out a comic, I revisited my old characters, I updated their looks and their stories. And when I approach a comic, I lay it out almost like an outline. So I'll write, I know what the first page is, I know what the last page is, usually a cliffhanger or conclusion.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of bullet point everything that happens in the book between the first and last and highlight any big moments that I need. Then I draw it out, and then I actually write all the dialogue.
No.
So the pages are actually drawn out. Here's some of the finished artwork.
This is amazing, guys.
So they're all drawn out, and then once I get here, I send them off to be colored, and then I fill in all the words.
Now, do you experience like writer's block
all the time?
How do you handle that?
You know, I just have to keep going. It's almost like you're wandering through like a foggy field and you can't see where you're going. Then every now and then, like the light comes out and you get this long span of inspiration, and then you just write and write and write, and it gets you till the next book.
And you say for years. Is this like some of the characters a reflection of some of the characters you encounter in life, or is it just out of your mind, or
I think
what influences you?
I think all the characters are probably influenced by somebody I've met somewhere or seen somewhere. The main character himself, I like the idea. The genesis of the idea is the main character comes from a world that's been subjugated by an alien species, like an alien empire, and they were augmented through experiments in cybernetics to be the ultimate soldier or worker, whatever they've needed, but they had their free will taken from them. And the main character, he breaks their programming, becomes self-aware, and uses all the gifts they gave him to fight back, and he escapes and comes to Earth. And I like the idea he was actually created to be a miner. They gave him all this ability to go out and do this arduous task, but he was like a menial worker. But when he turned his skills around and he became self-aware and got free will and weaponized himself, he's actually very dangerous. It's like a pickaxe is a really good tool, but then when you turn it on your foreman, it's actually dangerous. And I like the idea of this guy who was built for something just really mundane, who turns it around into something big and heroic.
Are you planning, are you open to doing lectures in libraries and special events?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this book is really all I do with my time. So I have time in the week open. I talk to people. I talk to people on YouTube a lot and do interviews.
And how can they contact you?
I am on Instagram at Branden Sanderson Art, and that's Branden with an E. You can message me there, and my books are available on Indiegogo In Demand, and just search out for Malevolent Rising.
And what is the first issue?
The first issue is this one here, and it goes, I sell them at the shows and online for $5. Actually, online they're 10 because it's shipping.
Well, of course, I'm going to get one of those, right, guys? Yeah. And is there an upcoming major event that the hero will face?
Well, the first series is done, and the big alien guy is taking a break on the next story. The next story, the actual volume 2 started is here, and it's Malevolent Rising Matriarch, and it actually takes one of the side characters, one of the characters he meets here on Earth, and fleshes her story out a bit more. We're going to follow her for a little bit.
What age group?
PG-13, I'd say.
And is there going to be more adultish later on?
Maybe. I'm planning a second series. I'm going to take a little break from this title after the Matriarch series wraps up. And I'm going to be doing a little bit more of a horror-themed book called Snakebait. So, and it's going to be probably more of an 18 and up just because it's scary.
How long does it take you to complete one comic?
I do a book about
one
every
book
3 months.
every 3 months.
Yeah.
And you dedicate about how many hours on this? About
Oh gosh, I put in about full-time hours on it because I spend a lot of time just writing, conceptualizing, and then the drawing. I usually put in 6 to 7 hours a day just sitting and working on the artwork. And then I'm also, as I'm working on the current issue, I'm kind of going through the pages from the previous issue that I just finished and formatting them for print and going over, making sure all the lettering is correct and the colors are correct. So, because I'm just a one-man, it's just me and the gal that colors it. We're the only two that do it. And we just have to kind of check and correct each other.
And what is your next project for this?
The next project for this is after the Matriarch is completed. There is a third one in the works called Malevolent Rising Adversary. But directly after this, after the Matriarch series is finished, we do a one-shot book called Snake Bit. That is about a person who was bit by a snake when he was a kid, and they got him to the hospital in time, but before they were able to revive him, he ventured off into that afterlife. And he was there just a little too long, and they brought him back, but now he's a little different. He has no more fear of death, but something from the afterlife is coming back to him.
Currently now, what life lesson would you like to impart to the young folks?
Just never think you're too old or too far gone to go back to the thing that you dreamt of doing. When I was in high school, I wanted to do comics. That was all I wanted to do. I ended up getting a job right out of high school as a bank teller while I was in college, and I moved up in finance, and I did finance and banking for over 15 years. And I thought that was going to be my job, and then the economy tanked, and my bank dissolved. And I found myself bouncing around from job to job, and finally landing back in the world of comics. Doing
something that you love to do.
Yep. And I am over. I won't say how old, but I am over 40, and I just started this little journey, and it's at the beginning, but I've been watching it grow, and it's been really incredible.
Do you feel like you're only 5?
I feel like I'm 7. I'm a little wiser than a 5-year-old, but not much.
What famous quote of your character, your favorite character, would you say?
My favorite character
your
from all of
fiction? Favorite quote. Your favorite character quote that you...
I have so many. I'm always a big fan of Spaceballs. I'm always a big fan of Dark Helmet's quote, "Evil will always triumph because good is dumb." That quote's always in the back of my mind.
And where are you going to go after this? What's the next one where people can see you and say, hey?
I'll be at the next OhanaCon, which is in Yuba City after this. And after that, I think we're going to a con in Modesto. The week after that. So I've got something every weekend in August. I'm somewhere, and I always put it up on my social media. Again, that Branden Sanderson art, Instagram. Find me there. I always talk about where I'm going to be, and I post a lot of just random drawings and art that I do on my Instagram page.
And what's the key word to just say hello to you in the next event? What did they say? Hey.
Just say, hey, I saw you online, or actually most of the time people just ask me to draw stuff. I spend most of my time at these shows just doing commission drawings for people.
Thank you very much for your time.
I appreciate it.
All right. Keep going, huh?
Yeah.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Wow. Look at this, guys. This is great.